What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Christian Corey. You see the title and the thumbnail in today's video. We're talking about Justin Verlander. Yes, he's been out with Tommy John surgery the past couple of years. He will be a free agent after this season. He can go wherever he wants, and I'm wearing a Tigers uniform. Why? Well, because I think he could go back to the Tigers. Now, I mean, this isn't just me thinking that. It's not just a biased Tigers fan. Verlander kind of hinted at it himself with a little interview with a reporter from the Detroit Free Press, a local newspaper here in Metro Detroit. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so you guys may already be cracking up, behind the camera there as you're watching this, that thinking, this guy's crazy, it's just clickbait, he just wants his Tigers to have a chance at something, which may all be true, but there's another thing that you have to note here too. Another big truth of the matter is that Justin Verlander did in fact hint at coming back to Detroit, and he wouldn't be opposed to it, obviously. So really the question is, would Justin Verlander come back to the Detroit Tigers? But the more important question is, would the Tigers want him back? Because again, he's entering his 40s. He's 38 years old. So he's getting up there in age. Not saying that can affect his performance, but again, there's always cause for concern when a guy's getting older. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So this is what Justin Verlander actually said when asked by a reporter from the Detroit Free Press about his possible return to Detroit via his soon-to-be free agency. He says, quote, "I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about it, coming back to Detroit." Justin Verlander said, "Yeah, of course. I love playing there. I love the city. I love the fans. Yes, I do think about it. Ultimately, the decision comes down to what's best for my career. If that aligns with that possibility, then maybe it does." He also goes on to comment about his Tommy John surgery and what he needs to do to get that right. He says, quote, "I need to get my elbow healthy first," Verlander said. "And then I don't even know what the next steps are from there. I'm a free agent, and I have no plan. For the first time, I'm entering free agency." He's almost 40 years old, and he's going to be a free agent for the first time in his career. That's kind of crazy nowadays. And he also goes on to say, well, we'll just see what happens. So, he's optimistic. He's realistic. You have to be both in that situation. I mean, is it a fairy tale for him to come back to Detroit? Well, yeah, of course it is. Is it the best career move? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But let's dive into those pros and cons specifically for both sides, being Justin Verlander and the Detroit Tigers. So first, let's go into a deep dive of the pros and cons for JV. First, let's go over the pros. Well, AJ Hinch is a manager now of the Detroit Tigers. And that manager, AJ Hinch, is the only manager that has won him a World Series championship. Cheating or not. I mean, it's just facts. I know they cheated. Obviously I condemn all cheating, but you can't deny the fact that AJ Hinch was the only manager that delivered him a World Series championship. Next one, the Tigers are young and on the rise. He also knows the city and the fans. It's not like going to New York or anywhere else that may be new to him. And the fans love him. And that's the other thing. The fans adore him. The fans really love Justin Verlander here in Detroit. I still see people wearing JV jerseys, and he hasn't been here since 2017. It says a lot about your impact here in Detroit for actually not winning a World Series championship. I mean, that's just crazy. The next thing is, the Tigers, they have money, and that's always good for Justin Verlander. I mean, the Tigers are always in the upper echelon of payrolls and payroll rankings in Major League Baseball. The guy that owns them is Little Caesars, Pizza. So they got the money. Also, JV has unfinished business here in Detroit. Yeah, what do you mean by that? Well, he's never won a World Series with the Tigers. He's been to two, 2006 and 2012. Still have never won a World Series game, like an actually World Series win under his belt. It's still like an own decision, I think, even with the Astros. So there's a reason why to come back. Also, he has a lot of success here. I mean, aside from not winning a World Series, but a lot of success. He's won a Cy Young in Detroit. He's won a league MVP in Detroit. He's won the pitching triple crown in Detroit, and he's won the Rookie of the Year, all with the Tigers. I mean, one Cy Young with the Astros. One Cy Young. That's it. The Tigers' pitching staff, in particular, is a good thing because they're very talented. They're not pushovers. I mean, they got Casey Mize, they got Tariq Skubal, Matt Manning, and Spencer Turnbull, all very young guys. And what does that mean for Justin Verlander? I mean, yes, they're inexperienced, but they're still young. And it's not like you're coming into a situation where you're coming into, I don't know, Philadelphia or something, and you have to be the man. Like, I know he will be the man wherever he goes. I get that. But I feel like if he goes to a team like Philadelphia, they have to win right now, and it's do or die, and he has to perform every single night and be on his A game every single time he goes out there. That's a lot of pressure to put on Justin Verlander. Not saying he can't handle the pressure, but still a lot of pressure. If he comes back to Detroit, that's a better case scenario for him versus going to a big city with a lot of pressure like Philadelphia. Not a great pitching staff. New York, I get it, they have Cole, but who else? A lot of pressure. If you come to Detroit, not a lot of pressure to throw no-hitter every night. You know what I mean? That's a good thing for Justin Verlander. So those are my pros for JV. Now let's go over to the cons for Mr. Justin Verlander when it comes to coming to Detroit. Alright, so in my pros for Justin Verlander, I mentioned the Tigers are a very young team. And that's a good thing, but that also means they're inexperienced and unproven. And that's a bad thing for Justin Verlander. Do you really want to come to Detroit or any team and really have no idea how they're going to perform on a day in and day out basis? I mean, every team has expectations, right? I mean, let's be honest. Whether you're in first place with 100 wins or whether you're in last place with 100 losses the season prior, the new season every year is to come in and think you're going to win every day. And that's your expectation to win. But expectations don't always line up with reality. And the reality is they're young and inexperienced and unproven. That's a con for Justin Verlander when it comes to coming back to the Motown. The next thing is, like I said, the Tigers are unproven. And they have not made the postseason since 2014. And that was when he was here. So you'd be coming to a team that's unproven, very young, has not made a postseason appearance with virtually any of the guys on the current roster, except for Miguel Cabrera. It's not the same team. The next thing, are the Tigers willing to give him the amount of money he wants? I mean, money's a big thing. You know, just because Tigers have money, which they do have money, but just because they have the money on paper doesn't mean they're willing to spend the money. Now again, under the same ownership, being the Ilitches, but Mike Ilitch passed away. So his son Chris Ilitch took over of the Tigers and the Red Wings. And Chris Ilitch, maybe he's not willing to go the extra mile to pay up. That's another thing for Justin Verlander. Another thing is, maybe perhaps his superstar model wife, Kate Upton, would like to live in a big city such as New York or LA. Like, maybe she wants to go to LA, be like, hey Justin, look, go to the Dodgers, they're good, it's good for my career, you know, maybe I want to get back into it after having a kid, go to New York, a lot of model agencies in New York, maybe they don't want to live apart a lot. You know, maybe they want to go to LA and New York, and you know, they have all the right to. I don't care. It's up to them. That's a big possibility too. And again, those two markets, such as New York and LA, they have better teams and are more financially flexible and willing to spend money versus the Tigers. I mean, the Mets, they have money, willing to spend. The Yankees, they have money, willing to spend. The Dodgers, they have money, willing to spend. The Padres, they have money, willing to spend. The Angels, they have money, willing to spend. There's like 5 teams right there that Justin Verlander could pick from that could not only benefit him financially, but his wife when it comes to her career. Also, Detroit, it's a cold climate. Maybe he wants to live somewhere warm. Maybe he wants to live in LA. I don't know. I'm sure he'd go to Miami if the Marlins were good, but, you know, I can't help the Marlins suck. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe the climate's big to him. I don't know. We'll see. Another thing is, like I said, is he really willing to wait 1 or 2 more years for the Tigers to really make a splash when it comes to becoming a contender in Major League Baseball? I mean, you can make the postseason, but, you know, with the extended playoffs and all the series, the wild card, the DS, the CS, it's a long road to haul. And even if the Tigers somehow make it next year via a wild card, I mean, who says they can't get swept? The Tigers will have to prove something to Justin Verlander and really convince him when it comes to their readiness to play in the Fall Classic, you know, anytime soon. So there are my pros and cons for Justin Verlander when it comes to returning to Detroit. Now, I'll go over the pros and cons from the Tigers side of things. So first, let's go over the pros for the Tigers and a possible return for Justin Verlander in their rotation. Justin Verlander is an established big league pitcher, and there is no need to worry about him being inexperienced or being in a new environment. So it's not like you're trading for a guy who's young and who's never been traded before and doesn't know your team or your management or your coaching staff. It's not like that with Justin. He knows pretty much everybody in Detroit, the front office people. He knows a manager now because they got AJ Hinch there. He probably knows most of AJ Hinch's coaching staff if he brought anybody over from Houston to Detroit. That's a good thing for the Tigers. He's comfortable here. And he's experienced. There's no need to worry about him not knowing how to handle himself in certain situations. There's no worry about, your coaching staff needing to be on him when it comes to preparation for a start. Also, AJ Hinch knows how to manage Justin Verlander. And it's obvious Justin Verlander likes AJ Hinch. So that's a good thing. Also, like I said before, AJ Hinch is the only manager that has won a World Series, cheating or not. So it's a good thing for the Tigers. Justin Verlander, if he comes to Detroit, could mentor some of the other younger starting pitchers. He can mentor young guys in the Tigers rotation, and the Tigers have a lot of young guys, so that's a great thing for the Tigers and JV. Again, the fans love him. That's a good thing for the Tigers, and he can sell tickets and merchandise. If he comes back, you'll see a lot of new Justin Verlander jerseys in a different type of Tigers D. I'll tell you that much right now. A must-see JV. Another thing is, if you're the Tigers, is that, you don't want to see him win another World Series not wearing the Old English D. If you're the Tigers, you want to get him, and you want him to win a World Series with the Tigers. You don't want him to win another one with anywhere else. Houston was one thing. Even after that, you may say, yeah, maybe not really. You don't want him to win another World Series championship not in a Tigers uniform. And if he wins a championship with the Tigers, I think that 100% solidifies that he will go into the Hall of Fame as a Tiger. Those are the pros when it comes to having Justin Verlander back in a Tigers uniform. All right, now last thing, let's go over the cons for the Detroit Tigers when it comes to Justin Verlander returning to Motown. Well, a con is he'll cost a lot of money. And the money and the contract combined will result in a very big commitment when it comes to years. A 3+ year long commitment, I would assume, to get Justin Verlander to go anywhere, not just Detroit. The years, I think, are a key thing for Justin Verlander. I honestly do. And maybe the Tigers aren't willing to make that type of commitment, even if it is with Justin Verlander, a guy you know very, very well and trust. That's all I'm saying. Also, he's coming off a Tommy John surgery. Not just, a free agent and he came off a great season, this past season or something. He's coming off a Tommy John. That's not good. People can bounce back from it. Obviously, the surgery works for the most part, but you have to be cautious with that. And do you really want to spend a lot of money on a guy who is proven when healthy, but after coming off surgery, you don't know how his body is going to respond? Also, like I said, kind of with the Tommy John, he's entering his 40s, and the Tigers might not think it's a smart move to pour lots of money in a guy who's turning 40 soon. Turning 40 is one thing. Justin Verlander never had Tommy John and is just turning 40. I would have confidence because of who he is and the Tigers know him and trust him. But the fact that he has Tommy John, really, makes the Tigers, kind of put the brakes on a little bit and don't, put the pedal to the metal when it comes to, grabbing this guy up really quick. Tommy John surgery changes the whole dynamics of it. Also, when it comes to spending money and what to spend money on, I think the Tigers would rather spend money on offense next offseason and bullpen help versus starting pitching because, you gotta have confidence in the young guys. Obviously, getting a proven starting pitcher, regardless of who they are, would be a great thing. If you want to get a proven starting pitcher, you don't have to go after the big guy. It'd be nice, but you don't have to. If you're the Tigers, throw money at offense versus pitching because you got pitching. That's what I would do if I was the Tigers. Also, there could be some bad blood between JV and the Tigers because of the way that 2017 trade of the Astros happened. It was unexpected. Verlander said that. He knew kind of about it, but he wasn't really buying into the fact that the Tigers were going to pull the trigger. And this bad blood between Justin Verlander and the Tigers could result in the Tigers having a lesser of a chance to actually go after Justin Verlander, and maybe it could put him in the hole, so to speak, when it comes to them actually going after and getting him, and him wanting to come back to Detroit, a team that traded him. You never know. The last con I have for the Tigers when it comes to getting back Justin Verlander is that they have no hardware to offer him. What I mean by that is they have no rings to show for it. They have not won a World Series ring since 1984. Yes, the Yankees have not won since 2009. At least the Yankees are in this millennium. You know what I mean? There are other teams out there who's won a lot of World Series rings, who have the money and have the attraction for Justin Verlander. Yankees, they won. 2009. Dodgers, they won last season. The Nationals, the Giants have won a lot. They're on the rebound when it comes to being contenders. The Tigers are not. That could be a con for the Detroit Tigers. Alright guys, that's all I got for today's video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts, and I will catch you later.